If there's one thing that remains consistent in the Transformers franchise, it's inconsistency. Sometimes you'll get something great, like the MP Beast Wars figures. Good job, Takara. No one does it quite like you. Oh. Well, at least we have good movies. Oh. Well, we have good games that we'll be able to play forever? Aw, man! Transformers Devastation is, as a lot of people have been saying, the best Transformers game you can't buy. But because, apparently, Activision only likes money when it comes to selling us ridiculous skins in COD, we can't get good Transformers games. Or any for that matter. RIP Reactivate. But there may be some hope. There's ways to get a hold of these great games. But enough talking about the depressing state of Transformers games. Let's talk about the best multi-part G1 episode that is also a video game. Now, let's talk about what makes this the best Transformers game ever made, and you can fight me on that. The gameplay. It's basically DMC and Metal Gear Rising mixed with Transformers. Hack and slash fun with a killer soundtrack and huge spectacle boss fights. You have 3 types of combat with each character getting their own special attacks: melee, ranged, and driving. Melee combat is actually a bit more complex than you'd think. You have a light and heavy attack that you chain together to create combos. Complete a combo and you'll be able to perform a special attack that involves your selected character's alt mode. All of them are pretty much the same. They either ram into them or do something that defies physics. Bro, what? All except my boy, Grimlock. Grimlock is special. He's a very special boy.
Tell Grimlock about Petro Rabbits again.
Not like that. See, when he performs his combo ender, you change into Dino mode, ram into whatever poor unfortunate Decepticreep you happen to be pounding on, then you continue your combo as a metal T-Rex. I mean, how cool is that? Ranged combat is a lot simpler. You equip 3 different ranged weapons that you can switch to on the fly. You can also interrupt a melee combo with your ranged weapon. Very cool, very smooth. Driving is mostly used for traversal, but your vehicle mode can be used for combat. You can either ram into the cons, or if you build up enough speed and press either of the melee buttons, you perform a charge attack that can break shields. This will be your main form of guard break, but it can also do some pretty decent damage. I also found you can drive in a circle for a few seconds to build enough speed in smaller areas. Overall, combat is smooth and precise, while also being very beginner-friendly. Combat rewards combos, but it won't punish you for using the same ones over and over or button mashing. It takes a bit to get in the rhythm of things, but when it clicks, oh boy, it clicks. Now, no story would be complete without a great cast of characters, and this game has that in spades. From their design, to the writing, to the animations, and especially the voices, with most of the original cast even returning to voice their respective characters. There are only 5 playable characters, being Optimus Prime, who we'll be playing as for this review, Sideswipe, Wheeljack, Bumblebee, and my boy Grimlock.
Grimlock, get your noodle out of my face!
There are also some DLC character skins, those being Nemesis Prime, Goldbug, and Red Alert, but unless you already have them, you probably won't be getting them. Huge bummer. Now that we've taken a bit to discuss who we'll be playing as, let's talk about the overall excellent boss fights in this game. Our very first boss fight comes right after the tutorial, and we're fighting Devastator? Okay. It's not too bad, just continue to chip at his feet and occasionally hit his head and you'll be alright. I love how huge and intimidating they made Devastator here. He really feels like a threat, and it adds a lot to the scale and presentation of this fight. You actually fight Devastator twice, technically 3 times, but we'll get into that in a sec. First, I need to mention something about the second boss fight, Megatron, who I'll be going into more detail about later. Side note, I find it very interesting how we fight Megatron and Devastator twice in the first chapter of the game. Why would they do that this early? Why would they have you fight high-level Decepticons after the tutorial? And what are they gonna do now? Will they reintroduce these bosses? How will they top this? Well, with Devastator, they actually make some very interesting changes. Before the second Devastator fight, you get to fight the Constructicons individually, 2 at a time. That's really cool. I love the whole idea of fighting the Constructicons individually, mostly so I can let out some pent-up frustration over the loss of one of my favorite Autobots. Fuck you, Scavenger, this one's for Prowl! Every Constructicon feels different and has their own unique gimmick, so every fight feels different. Not only that, but the level is left relatively open. You have to shut down 3 generators, with 2 Constructicons at each, and you can tackle whichever one in whichever order. Later on, you get to fight Devastator again, but this time with Menasor, but we'll get to that soon. Before that, let's talk the Big Megs. Megatron is disappointingly easy and very simple. All you do is rush him when his shield is up, then wail on him until his health bar is down. He then retreats in the next cutscene. To someone unfamiliar with Transformers, this makes Megs seem weak and cowardly. To someone who is very familiar with Transformers, this tracks. To avoid the consequences of the big bad dying, he just fucks off so the rest of the game can happen. Speaking of disappointing, Soundwave's fight. It's cool because you're fighting Soundwave, but exactly what you'd expect from a Soundwave boss fight. All you do is dodge sound-based attacks and laser blasts whilst fighting off his tapes. He is later called away by Megatron halfway through his health bar. Kinda lame. You do get to fight him later though, and this time he doesn't run off. I do think it's really neat that we get some love for one of his lesser-known tapes, Buzzsaw, though. Okay, now things are fun again. In Chapter 2, the Insecticons are introduced. Kickback, Bombshell, and Scrapnel. At first, you fight them as regular enemies, instead of basic ground soldiers. But you notice they start to get bigger, until eventually you're fighting Insecticons that are almost twice the size of Prime, all 3 at once. It kinda goes off the wall a bit. But I love it. I'm really enjoying these multiple bosses at once kind of fights. It allows every fight to feel different, even repeat fights, while introducing a fun challenge. You can't just wail on them anymore. You need to pay attention. Thundercracker's boss fight starts off mostly as a chase. You can do some damage, but unless you have a faster character like Sideswipe, don't even bother. Just chase him down and avoid his attacks until he's down on the ground. After that, the fight is rather uneventful. The highlight is the cutscene afterwards, giving us one of the funniest lines in all Transformers video games.
Wow, that took like no convincing at all. No wonder they call you Thunder Cracker.
I know it was a lame pun, but it really fits Bumblebee.
Cracker.
With Starscream, you fight him twice, with a big highlight being the soundtrack. Oh my god, this song fucks. Just listen. They really nailed Starscream's personality in this game. Unfortunately, they had to recast him due to the original voice actor passing away. But I think the replacement actor really nailed it, and I'd love to hear them voicing the character again in future projects. The Blitzwing fight is one of my favorite fights in this game. You fight him on this small island after a short chase section on a bridge. Right off the bat, this game proudly displays the gimmick of this fight, Blitzwing's alt modes. Not just needing to learn the attack patterns of Robot, Jet, and Tank, but the Jet and Tank modes having different elemental abilities, with the Jet being ice and the Tank being fire. I think this is super cool. It turns the vehicle mode attacks into something more than just another thing to dodge. It requires you to adapt on the fly, and I think that's awesome. I've decided to talk about both Motormaster and Menasor in the same section, as they are pretty identical. First off, I want to talk about Motormaster's design. He looks a little different from his cartoon counterpart. Not sure why they did this. The fight against Motormaster was neat, but uneventful. The same could be said for Menasor. It was cool fighting a combiner, but we already fought Devastator, so the spectacle of fighting a huge robot is kinda lost. It's great that he's in the game, but I wish they did something else other than, here's another huge guy, now go fight him. I'm gonna be blunt right off the bat. This is my favorite fight in the entire game, hands down, no contest. I'll be going in more depth about this boss fight later in the review, so I won't gush about him any more than I have to. Just know, this fight is amazing, and I love it. You do fight Megatron one more time as the final boss, but we'll save that for when we discuss that chapter. But for now, let's start with Chapter 1. We open up with what I'm assuming is New York City, because that's where Google said it took place. I don't know. Where... Oh god, not again! Oh, thank Primus, it's just the Decepticons. In terms of Transformers stories, it doesn't get any simpler. Megatron uses some artifact to try to cyberform Earth, because living on a metal planet worked so well the first time.
Cybertron has fallen.
Chapter 1 is mostly a tutorial and an introduction to the story and characters, so not much happens. Chapter 2 is where things begin to get more interesting. The device Megatron is using to cyberform Earth is powered by what's known as the Plasma Core. We find out later in the level that the Plasma Core is strongly connected to an ancient Autobot ship, the Proud Star, the ship of Nova Prime. This ship houses an ancient Autobot artifact known as the Ferrotaxis. Are you following along? Pay attention, this will be on the test. Where was I? Oh yeah, the Ferrotaxis. Spoiler alert, holds a well of Cybertronian knowledge. This will be important later. But right now, we need to extract the Plasma Core, fight off Insecticons in a really neat turret section, have a surprisingly disappointing boss fight with Soundwave, and get the math out of there before the Plasma Core self-destructs and takes out half the planet. Yeah, no pressure or anything. Before we get into Chapter 3, I just want to take a sec to admire how beautiful this game looks. The cell shading looks gorgeous, and the animations are crisp and clean. But enough of that. Chapter 3 begins with trying to locate whatever Decepticon Megatron sent after the Plasma Core after it was ejected, which leads us to discovering the Ferrotaxis is still operational despite removing the Plasma Core, which leads us to our first boss fight, yes, first, out of 3 in this chapter, Thundercracker. Thundercracker pretty much gives up instantly and promises not to get in the Autobots' way as long as they get rid of the Plasma Core due to how dangerous it is. After telling us Blitzwing was sent to find the Plasma Core, we go after him. In order to reach him, however, we need to cross
Liberty Bridge,
which brings us to the worst section of the game, the Red Energon section. Now, this part isn't particularly difficult, just annoying. The game tasks you with delivering Red Energon to a set location. Sounds easy, right?
Wrong!
It, for some reason, puts you in a top-down view and everything gets all weird. It's difficult to tell what elevation you or whatever you're fighting is at, and they still throw a bunch of Decepticons at you and expect you to just figure it out. Thankfully, there isn't too much issue. The worst of it is 2 ground soldiers, the big guys with the hammers, are thrown at you. Other than that, the worst is the odd camera view. With the worst of it over, you get to do one of my favorite boss fights of the game, Starscream. And after beating old Screamer, you get onto the bridge and a chase ensues between you and Blitzwing that ends with an amazing boss fight. Chapter 4 is a fucking gauntlet. First you start with a boss fight with Blitzwing. No big deal. Then a quick chase sequence with Motormaster. Easy peasy. You can take him out before you even get to the boss arena. Then you can mess him up once you get there. This game really made Motormaster look like kind of a bitch. Sorry, bud. Then you go on looking for the crashed Plasma Core, which Starscream dropped like an idiot.
I'm stupid!
But once you find it, you have to do the one thing in this game worse than the Red Energon section. The Wheeljack Defense section. Oh my god, I hate these. Wheeljack repairs the plasma core, while you and the 3 other Autobots fight off waves of drones. Seems simple, right? Wrong again, because they're constantly targeting not you, not the other bots, but just Wheeljack. I appeared to have gotten lucky with this one. Wasn't too bad, right? Now that that's over, we could breathe easy and... oh, come on! And now, because this game apparently hates you, now you have to fight Minosaur. So, let's recap. 2 boss fights, a defense section where I barely squeak by, then another boss fight against a combiner. Don't worry though, the next chapter makes up for it. Chapter 5 begins with a very cool boss fight against Starscream in a space bridge. This is both really cool and really disorientating. It's really hard to describe, but hopefully the footage does it justice. Anyway, after that, Starscream falls out of the space bridge, and we all get to laugh at his misfortune. Go ahead, point and laugh at the poor little failure. Megatron gives another spiel and dramatically walks off, then it's another Blitzwing fight, which is great, but getting kinda old. Can we spice things up, please? Oh yeah, that's better. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Transformers fans of all games, I give you... Peak. This fight is amazing. I'd say the best fight in the game, hands down. It's fun, it's engaging, it's more than just a beat on the boss kind of fight. You need to avoid lasers, dodge projectiles, and fight off little shockwave clones. Now onto my favorite part of this fight, the soundtrack. Oh my god, this song is amazing. Just give it a listen. After beating Shockwave, Megatron runs off, and this ends Chapter 5. Chapter 6 begins with a swarm of Insecticons and oh my god! Jesus, kickback. Anyway, shutting down the plasma core. But we can't, because, ironically, the Constructicons suck at fixing things, and now it's leaking. So, we gotta go. This section seems a little difficult with the time limit and the wind pushing you back, but you have more than enough time. We then figure out that the precious Autobot artifact, the Ferrotaxis, is what's powering everything, so we have to destroy it. Also, Grimlock finally catches up.
Megatron has Ferrotaxi!
After that wonderful piece of commentary by Grimlock, we need to navigate through the inside of the Proudstar, where not only is Soundwave running the security, but we also need to fight off waves of Insecticons. Leading up to another Wheeljack defense section. No! This one is at least a little better. The area is more open, there's less troops per wave with more waves, and they seem to actually be focusing on you and the other Autobots. Not only was this defense section better, it was actually more fun this time. We've been introduced to a lot of new enemy types by this point, so the variety of troops keeps it interesting. Wheeljack eventually gets the lift repaired and we're off, but we're not in the clear yet. There's more cons after us now. This section is really cool. You have to fight off waves of enemies while jumping from platform to platform. There's also a, technically, boss fight against a Roboclaw at the end, which I think is pretty neat. All of that leads up to an epic, climactic boss fight against a floating horde? What? It's kind of like the Sentry Bot from Chapter 3. It's not that hard. This leads to a bit of an exposition dump from Prime. Prime talks about Nova Prime's mission to bring life to the galaxy by cyberforming uninhabited planets, but he was corrupted by something. I wonder if we'll get the answer for that. But for now, we need to start heading towards the control room, but the lift isn't working. Alright everyone, looks like we could take 5. Anyone want a sandwich, or a drink, or... Oh, I guess that works. This brings us to a, somehow, better boss fight with Soundwave. It's pretty similar to the last one, except this time he sends out a few more of his little guys. Oh look, it's Rumble! Side note, be sure to comment whether you believe the red cassette is Rumble, or if you're wrong and have been lying to yourself and others saying Rumble is the purple one. Anyway, the Soundwave fight. It was fine. Moving on. And finally, Chapter 7. This game goes out with a bang. Remember the absolute gauntlet that was Chapter 4? Yeah, that was tame compared to this. Multiple waves of Decepticons, multiple boss fights at the same time. It's a lot. The beginning of the level is sort of a final push. We fight multiple waves of ground troops, drones, and seekers. It's pretty awesome. Everything you've learned throughout this playthrough will be tested, and it's beautiful. After a few waves, you get to fight Motormaster, and just like before, he's not much of an issue. He does seem to be a bit more tough this time, but he'll go down just the same. Next up in the boss rush, Thundercracker and Skywarp. I think it's really cool that not only do you fight them both at the same time, but they are completely different from the Starscream fights. They could have just been lazy and reused Starscream's attacks and animations, but they didn't, and I'm really happy about that. It really shows how much they cared about each individual boss fight. You then get a few more waves before you encounter the first actual challenge, the Constructicons. Unlike in Chapter 1, where you fight them in pairs, you fight them all at once. This is a huge clusterfuck, in a good way. There's an appropriate level of chaos to this fight that really makes it feel like you're fighting a team rather than just a bunch of dudes. As you'd expect, though, they form Devastator as a sort of Phase 2. There's no cutscene, just going right into Devastator, and I love it. It keeps it from feeling like a separate fight and more like another phase to the same fight. But guess what? There's a Phase 3 where you fight Devastator and Motormaster at the same time. This would be awesome if Menasor wasn't a huge pain in the ass. The best part of this fight is you get to tackle them in any order you want. You can either finish off Devastator, who's at half health, or start on Menasor, who's a harder fight. It makes the fight more dynamic and adds a bit of replayability. This is it. The final showdown. You versus the big bad, Megatron. The previous fight against old Buckethead was easy, so this one should be a snap, right? Right? Oh shit! Whoa, no. What was that? What is that? Okay, this one might be a smidge different. This one will really keep you on your toes. This time, Megs has a completely new moveset. No more rushing him to break his shield. This time, he'll transform, create cracks in the earth that shoot lava at you, and even use his mace from Season 1 and then never again. The music is even different. This second fight is way better than the first one. I understand the first time was sort of a tutorial, so that's why it was so simple. So I really appreciate the final boss of the game feeling like a proper final boss. There's even a Phase 2 where you go to space.
Fuck you, dipshit! Oh god! Go to space!
Now this is a final boss. I love everything about this fight. It ends with a QTE, getting Dark Gaia flashbacks, and he did the thing from the movie! The game ends with Megatron forcing Optimus to make a choice. In order to stop the Ferrotaxis, ending the Cyberforming, stopping the Insecticons, and foiling Megatron's plan once and for all. At least until the next episode. Prime needs to destroy what carries all of Cybertron's history within. Prime ultimately sacrifices Cybertron's history to save Earth. Then he makes this whole speech about no longer being visitors on Earth, and Earth being their home now. The speech, though kinda cheesy, is the embodiment of Optimus Prime's speeches. I just wish I could play some Linkin Park for you guys after it. But we get something even better. A cameo from Superion and Defensor? No, I'm not kidding. This is genuinely awesome. I just wish we got to see them in action. But the game ends, and the credits roll. Just kidding, post-credit scene time. What's this? The ruins of the Proud Star? A mysterious pod? Ominous music? Nova Prime getting red eyes suggesting he's going to be the villain of the next game? Awesome! And we don't have a single thing to worry about because everyone knows whenever there's a sequel bait, there's always a sequel, right? Right? Oh man, I wanted to play as Hot Rod. So, that's it. My all-time favorite Transformers game. It had its ups and downs, but overall, this game is amazing. I highly recommend it for anyone who's a fan of Transformers or a fan of hack and slash games. It really sucks that we never got a sequel. I would have loved to have been able to play as some of the Season 3 guys, Hot Rod, Magnus, even Springer. But alas, it was not meant to be, which is a real shame because of the recent cancellation of promising looking Transformers games and the subpar at best movies as of late. Yeah, I didn't like Transformers 1. What of it? This makes the future of Transformers media look kinda bleak. At least we can always go back to the '86 movie. This was a huge task with a lot of work, but I'm glad it's done. Even if it doesn't get a ton of views, I'm glad I can look back at this and know that I did this. I love this game, and I love Transformers. And I'm so proud of myself for completing this monumentous task. So I hope you enjoyed my first actual review. Despite this being a huge pain to make, I had a lot of fun, and I'm so proud of myself for making this. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. See ya!